protein. Protein will keep you full.
And that's going to come in part 2 again.
It
Protein.
is, yes.
Yeah.
Protein, of course, will keep you more fuller, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And it will also help your muscles build back up as we talk about what we're going for in part 2 as well. Welcome back to Circee Health Pod. We have landed ourselves back in India. Happy to be home.
With our bellies full.
With our bellies full. And that leads us into today's topic. Unfortunately, our bellies are probably a little more than full after weeks of vacationing and probably indulging in a little too much delicious food. Anyway, today we will tell you how to hopefully zap that belly fat for the long term and the short term. We'll give you some of our own tips and some, of course, tried and true and research study back tips, courtesy of Ajoy. But just want to remind you, in case you've forgotten, that our goal in these podcasts is to educate you and, of course, to empower you so that you can prevent and or bid farewell to chronic health issues permanently. And if you've forgotten again, I'm Dr. Jenny Prabhu, and this is
Ajoy Prabhu.
I am a double-boarded internal medicine and pediatrics doctor working in both the U.S. and India. How lucky am I?
And yes, you are. And I am a research pathologist, and I do not practice in anywhere. I just help people get better.
You practice finding excellent evidence-based clinical information.
Hopefully.
Excellently.
So, what is there in the belly? Should we just jump in and talk about
Right now, there's a lot of spanakopita in my belly, but I digress. Go ahead, Ajoy.
No. I was just saying, nobody, whenever they talk about belly fat, nobody talks about what is actually there in the belly, right? I mean, they just say, we have to get rid of the belly fat and so on and so forth, but nobody talks about what exactly constitutes, when you see somebody with a paunch or us with a paunch.
Or a beer belly, or love handles, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. What is in it? So what is in it is visceral fat. When I say visceral fat, what that means is whenever we eat stuff and the body wants to store stuff, it stores it as quickly as possible around the organs, just around the intestines and any other organs that are in our body.
In the abdominal
cavity. In the abdominal cavity, yes, correct. And that obviously takes up space, so therefore your belly starts to protrude. Now it comes to the second point, which is that it can protrude only if your muscles are weak. So that's the other part in the belly. When you have a protruded belly, that basically is telling you that the muscles around the belly are weak. They cannot hold that fat like tightly close to the body. We'll get to this when we talk about exercises, right?
Yeah. Later on in part 2.
Yeah, in part 2. Yeah, so we will again might do this.
Because we ramble.
So we will go into part 2 and talk about exercises. The first one I think we really need to concentrate on is 80% of the way, which I think is through diet. Yeah, diet. And fasting maybe.
Yeah, fasting we might have to save for part 2 at this point. Maybe. But yeah, it's really about modifying when you eat, how you eat, what you eat, right?
Yeah. So now that I've defined what is
belly fat?
Belly fat.
Why do we have belly fat?
Oh my God! Now you have to ask. You're going to ask me for
that.
I
have to ask you for that because that's one of your favorite. The history.
So yeah, do you guys ever wonder why we have fat in our bellies mainly, not around? Yes, of course, women will say, "Oh, we have it around our arms," and
men will say that too.
Yeah, I guess, but mostly I've noticed women saying that, or around their hips and so on and so forth. If you think about where most of the belly fat resides, it's in the part where 200,000 years ago when we had to really hunt around and walk quite a bit and so on. That's the part that is the closest to the center of your gravity, center of gravity. And when you're running or you're walking, it will cause the least amount of discomfort. If it was on your cheek or your something, it would be a little difficult to run or walk around, right? If you have it in the very close to the center of gravity, it's easy. So that's why we have belly fat, okay? And of course, we will talk about how we are going to try to reduce it, I hope, in the next few weeks.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And how we recommend how people can do this. So, do you want to talk about the good news in this in terms of the belly fat in
Well, good and
cooking?
bad news. I think maybe anyway, if we're talking about short-term belly
Yeah,
fat,
yeah.
post-vacation belly fat,
Yeah, that's
post
grease.
wedding belly fat, post-birthday belly fat, whatever you want to say. If you've been indulging recently and you realize you look a little more fluffy, the
Fluffy.
good news is that uh, as my husband likes to call it, the marbles in the mug theory is true. So whatever goes in last comes out first. So your body will preferentially get rid of that latest added or last
Correct.
added
Marble.
body fat or marble, sorry, belly fat. So, if you see you've gained weight in your belly, but also your arms or your hips.
Yes, yes.
So, sorry, it's not just your belly, but most people are more concerned about belly fat, I think, in general. So, anyway, that will come out first, which is good to know. So, in most cases, you're not stuck with it forever if you really commit to working on it.
Yeah.
So, that's good news for me and my small jeans after Greece. So, I guess we can take the example of what, obviously, this is not the first time either of us has put on weight after eating a lot on vacation. If you listen to any of our other podcasts, you know that I practice intermittent fasting, and I'll get more into fasting later. But generally, when I'm on vacation, I stop fasting because I can't not have the free hotel breakfast. Why would I ever give them that money, that extra money?
Free.
Amongst other reasons. But anyway, so, that's part of the reason I'm sure that I hang on to excess fat. But there's other reasons too, more processed food.
Sugary
In
stuff.
our case, in particular in Greece, more dairy, which especially I am not used to eating. Ajoy may have indulged in a little bit of meat because he wanted to try the local delicacies. So things that we're not eating on our daily life are now coming back to haunt us. So what do we do? We both kind of do different things. I think in general, what we both do is go back to a more strict whole food plant-based diet. That's what we both do, I can say comfortably. So now that we're back home, I guess this is the second day, I've lost track of time. We're back to cooking more. In fact, cooking totally. We're back to eating our fermented foods. We had dosa for breakfast, or Ajoy and the kids had dosa for breakfast this morning. I had my black coffee.
Very little fat on the dosa.
Right, exactly.
And it was made with whole, like a larger grains, not just the urad.
In my dosa recipe, I tend to put more lentils than rice. So it's a little healthier, more fiber, more protein. So yeah, we go back to our usual suspects, and even more so. In fact, like we'll try not to eat out or order out for the next couple of weeks. We'll try to just eat at home. So whether we can control the oil, we can control what's put into our bellies. So that's the main thing that we do. What I do is consider this almost, and I guess Ajoy does too, consider it like a cleanse almost, where you want to cleanse yourself of the dairy, cleanse yourself of the processed food and the oils and fried foods and all of that. So really be more strict. Say I'm cleansing my body, so I'm not going to have any of that.
Yep.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
All right. So a couple of things I've done in the past. Last year, I decided to try. Everyone talks about keto. Of course, you've heard us talk on and on about how standard keto is really not healthy for you, especially in the long term. But there is something, believe it or not, called vegan keto, which I also don't think, or I know both of us don't think is healthy in the long term. However, a 1-month vegan keto diet actually could be a good cleanse, and because there's so many resources out there, and some we can, I'm sure share with you, I think is a good thing to stick to, a good regimen to stick to, because you go back to counting your macros and really watching what you're putting into your body. So when I say vegan keto, though, I'm not strict keto. I will never give up legumes and fruit, ever, because I think both of those are nature's perfect.
And I think in the past one, we had mentioned about why fruit is very, very good for you, primarily because of the fiber in it.
Right, exactly.
right?
So yeah, I mean, I don't do a strict keto where I'm only eating like tofu and lettuce.
And you'll be, I guess it'll come later about the protein, right? So
Right,
because
right.
legumes, okay,
Yes,
sorry.
yes. No, so that's why I'm saying I've modified it somewhat. So I'll get to that in a second. But another somewhat difficult aspect of my cleanse is I avoid all alcohol completely. So alcohol in general has extra calories. There are some good parts to alcohol, particularly red wine, which if you remember, we just talked about in our Mediterranean um, podcast series. However, if you are doing a true cleanse, it's good to give your body a break from any and all alcohol. So that's what we try to do for the next couple of weeks. Along those lines, any concentrated sugary drinks like processed juices, really juice in general. If you're going to have fruit, have it from the fruit itself. Don't, you know, when you squeeze the juice out of fruit, you miss the fiber for the most part, which is really the most important part of fruits. So we really just have water, soda water, coffee, tea. That's really all we have for the next couple of weeks. Maybe some nimbu pani or fresh lime soda.
Did you mention about the sugary drinks, like avoiding
Oh yeah,
too
of
much?
course. I think you should, of course, maybe it's
Because what happens with sugary
like
drinks,
soda and
because what happens with
pop.
sugary drinks is, as you are trying to empty that, think of it as a, I don't know, a boat that is sinking.
Wow,
You have,
you're dark today,
I
aren't
know,
you?
you have, water coming, you're bailing the water out by doing, diet and exercise and stuff like that. And you still have that plug hole because you're still having sugary drinks and stuff like that, or alcohol and so on and so forth. And water is continuing to come in. The first thing you need to do is plug that, right? So plug the sugary drinks, plug the
I feel like we
alcohol.
need to come up with a better metaphor than a sinking ship. So we'll work on that for you. Continue.
No, I just wanted to kind of like, say that it's like you're trying to solve the problem on one end and creating, remember that marble analogy that we gave. So, as you're taking out the marbles, you're putting in more smaller marbles. So, try not to do that.
Yeah, I think what he's getting at is you really want to go back to my favorite food group, or nutrient is better than food group. My favorite nutrient, which is fiber. If anyone has ever listened to any of our podcasts or watched any of our videos, you know how much I love fiber. So that's why in my modified vegan keto cleanse, I do not leave out fruit and legumes, because both of those are super high in fiber. Of course, so are vegetables, but fruit and legumes add important fiber, as well as legumes with the protein, both with vitamins. So it seems silly to me to leave those things out. So please have your fruit, have your legumes. Legumes, I mean dal, lentils, beans, rajma, chickpeas, etc. You might want to consider, at least for the short term while you're doing your cleanse, actually counting grams of fiber. Use MyFitnessPal or any other tracker that you can find online.
But I just want to say something here, because I don't like those trackers, so I have to like disagree.
This is short term.
Okay, thank you for saying
We
that.
don't want you, of course, obsessing over.
Because I hate those trackers.
Yes, I know you do. They help me, and it's to each his or her own. However, even for those that don't like it, sometimes a short-term cleanse, including counting your macros, can be helpful to keep you on track.
I have to say that because of the fact that for years we did MyFitnessPal and tracked it and so on. So when we look at a fruit or when we look at some food item, we kind of know how many grams of fiber there is. And people may not have that experience yet.
That's kind of the point.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
What did you say?
Moving on. So
what did you just say?
For those of you that want to count your fiber, try to get at least 30 grams a day. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but I did that for a month, and it was a full-time job. That will make you feel full. That will make your body become that broom of fiber that cleans out your intestines and gets all that nasty stuff out, including excess fat.
Just want to add that you can actually use nuts to your advantage here.
Absolutely. I forgot about nuts.
So,
nuts. So, of course, particularly peanuts, walnuts, cashews, the almonds.
Yeah.
And then I think Ajoy had mentioned earlier about, sorry. Before I get to that, if you're going to have fiber, remember fiber's BFF, water. You have to have water, or you will become backed up, constipated, and you'll feel even more bloated. So please have water, at least 3 liters during this cleansing period.
Today seems to be like I'm interjecting more than you normally. Like normally you interject, right?
It must be that sinking ship.
Yeah, maybe. But one of the things that water reminded me is elementary biochemistry. If you,
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, so I had to bring this up.
Having chest pain.
If you guys remember, it takes 8 molecules of.
Please continue to tune in. This whole podcast will not be about biochemistry. Go ahead.
If you remember, it takes 8 molecules of water to to metabolize 1 molecule of fat. I think that is correct, if I'm not mistaken. So you need a ton of water, 8 times the water for each molecule of fat. So therefore, it becomes all the more imperative that you stick to the water and you drink a lot of water. In fact, just as we were heading out of Greece itself, I had noticed that I had already started increasing my water intake because I was already getting paranoid that, oh, I'm going to develop a belly and so on. So I started drinking more water and I started drinking less beer. Just want to say that.
Yes. So water, both as a friend for your fiber and as a foe for your fat. See what I did there? And then finally protein. So fiber, water, we talked about whole foods, plant-based whole foods, not less oil and less processed, but protein. Protein will keep you full.
And that's going to come in part 2 again.
Protein. It is, yes. Yeah. Protein, of course, will keep you more fuller, if you will. And it will also help your muscles build back up as we talk about what we're going for in part 2 as well. But so you might want to eat more protein than you're used to. Of course, if you've heard, again, I keep referring to our other podcasts, you don't need as much protein as you think you do. However, during this cleanse, you may want to increase your normal protein so you're not missing the things. I guess your belly or your mind or both are not missing the things that you are indulging in. So if you feel full, hopefully you won't be craving sweets or carbs or fatty carbs or all of the above.
So I know you want to jump to the next one, but I think I'd like to stop you here because you've been rambling a lot. But this is one of your favorite topics, right? Belly fat.
Unfortunately, I have a lot of experience.
I mean, treating patients, you mean, of course.
Of course. No, yeah.
Not you.
No, not at all.
All right. So at this point, we'll just conclude part 1, and in part 2, we will talk about how fasting can help. That's really one of the fastest way to reduce.
Fasting is fast.
Fasting will help with belly fat reduction, and of course exercise.
And I just want to. Here I am interrupting again. Remember, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. Anytime you're planning to do a drastic diet change, no matter how short of a duration, please talk to your doctor. So this is, of course, fine if you're not on medications or you don't have any certain underlying illnesses. However, this is somewhat drastic, whether it's short-term or not. It needs to be cleared by your family doctor.
Yeah, correct. Because as you're talking, I was looking. I remembered you said that plant-based diet and fasting and all, and I said, wait a minute, there are some counterindications. Meaning, when I say counterindication, that means there are some things that if you are on medication or if you have certain diseases, let the doctor make that decision whether you need to
whether it's okay for you to
do this or not.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So
see you in part 2.
Yeah. Let's talk more in part 2. Thank you so much, guys.
We really hope you enjoyed our conversation. Can you think about one thing or an idea that you can start to introduce into your own life that will help make your life healthier and less stressful?
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you can take a few seconds to share the podcast with your friends and families. Thank you so much for listening.
And always remember, your health is literally in your own hands. Making lifestyle changes is not an easy task, but we promise you will be aptly rewarded with a long, healthy, and disease-free life.